Julia, hi, it's Catherine.
Hey, Catherine, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm up north with my folks, so I'm just really popping in to say hello. And I'll have to leave early, even at about 6:30. But I just thought it's still worth saying hello to you all.
No problem. I'm so happy that you did. In fact, I have are you going to be with Anya today or?
Anna can't come because unfortunately she's busy doing other things, but she's going to email you and kind of let you know all that.
Okay, perfect. I actually, what we're going to be talking about today, Anya and I have already just one-on-one talked about. So I'm glad
Oh,
that she's not getting a second dose of it, but
okay,
also
okay.
I think she'll be happy to hear that you get to see it too, because it's an
Oh,
interesting.
good. Good, good, good. So when you say, sorry, whenever you were saying describe the atmosphere in on this day, did you mean in the group or where you are or just in general?
You know that normally I would say just however you interpret that, but I'm gonna
Okay.
actually say wherever you are. I'm gonna go with the option that you gave me. Wherever you are. What is the mood wherever?
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Perfect. And I'm sorry, I'm on my phone because I don't have my computer, so I don't know whether you can see me, but at least you can hear me and I can see you.
Yep, we can see you just
Good.
fine. And Kim and Kyler are
Okay.
here. There are a few other people signed up that may filter in, but so far it's just a small group today, which is going to be fun. So Kim says today's mood is fun and sparkly white. I love that. Kyler, do you want to read yours aloud or just talk about it?
Sure, yeah. Sorry, I got like a little intense. Um, I said today's mood is anxiety over a lot of things, including whether a new treatment will work for me and whether I can let myself love freely. I started dating someone who's a really beautiful person, and there's still a part of me that's like not sure if I can live up to it, I guess. Um, just trying to take it day by day.
Thank you for that honest response, that fiercely honest response. I mean, besides just knowing that anyone who's in relationship with you is lucky to be there, I think that that kind of fierce honesty is going to serve you guys well no matter what. Thank you for sharing that. And Catherine, what's the mood where you are? Busy, fun? Ooh, and tell us more.
Yeah, well, I'm here in my parents' house. We have a little Christmas celebration, usually the weekend before Christmas, and that's what we're doing now. We had a lovely fun afternoon exchanging gifts and things like that. But my mom is very, she's end of life, and it's kind of poignant. Today was a good day. She was giggling and she was able to kind of understand what was going on, but it's just one of those things. We brought the celebration into her room where she's kind of in bed all the time, but she's comfortable and she's at home, and just having her presence here is really special and really important. So from that point of view, it was poignant, but very beautiful and precious as well.
Yeah, you're just making me realize there's so much about so because the holidays are kind of generally the same every year, they really mark a kind of check-in point for the family, who's here and who's not, who's
Mm,
doing well and who's not. It heightens that, because we compare to other years. And I
absolutely.
realize that holidays are heavy for a lot of folks for this very reason. But it sounds like you guys are doing a great job of keeping it light too.
Well, yeah, it is, but my cousin is over from Boston, and it's my sister's coming for dinner, and it's lovely. It's really nice. And my mum is kind of very comfortable, as I say, and kind of enjoying was giggling away. It was very sweet.
I
So
love
it's good. It's kind of precarious, but precious, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great words too. Precarious and precious.
Mm,
I think that
yeah.
that might be universally applicable, which is rare. But for the holidays, precarious and precious, I think are two
Yeah, I think so for lots of different reasons.
lots of different reasons. And that's actually a great segue into the poem that I'm going to present today. So we're in this precarious, precious season where everything kind of speeds up and everyone is juggling 1,000 things. And, you've got family logistics, you've got travel plans, you've got gifts you've got to do, and everyone just kind of feels stretched thin, like time is going really, really fast. And maybe I'm saying we, but I mean I. That's how I feel right now. So part of the reason why I picked this poem that we're going to be talking about today is that it defies that urge to speed up. In narrative medicine, we often read with a certain intention. Close reading is this process of looking under the surface and, analyzing patterns and symbols and looking for this deeper meaning, which is basically a process of doing things with a work. And um, I realized, there's a kind of urgency there that I think we miss out on another level of close reading, which is just being with and listening with and feeling with another speaker. Um, it reminds me of a conversation that Anya and I had. So Anya, I know you guys probably already know this, Kim and Kyler, but Anya is Catherine's daughter. Who joins us many times here. And Anya and I were having this conversation about what close reading is. And oftentimes we talk about this high level interpretive style of close reading. But Anya had this great new working definition where it's not about interpretation. It's about how literally how close can you read with a speaker? How close can you get to a speaker? How much can you let yourself feel what they're feeling? And it's that latter definition, it's Anya's definition that I want to work with today. How much can we allow ourselves to feel with this poet? So without further ado, I'm going to skip all of this narrative medicine business because you guys know exactly what we're up to here. We're going to be reading a poem today by Gillian Wegener, who I was just introduced to her work by actually a friend of Kate's, for those of you who know Kate Brubeck. And I have been just in love with her work since I just bought The Opposite of Clairvoyance, which was a book that she wrote back in 2008. And this poem comes from that book. She is a junior high school teacher, which I love about her. She lives with her husband and daughter in Modesto. She coordinates and hosts Second Tuesday reading series, which I haven't checked out yet, but maybe one of you guys will and report back to me. I would love to do that. Co-founder of Modesto Stanislaus Poetry Center and served as the poet laureate for the city of Modesto. Gillian Wegener, one thing I love about her poems that I've discovered through The Opposite of Clairvoyance is how much she sinks into the material details of her lived world and how present she is to her little town of Modesto. Um, and it makes it seem like her poetry is kind of effortless because what she's just describing what she sees. There's just something so inviting about that. Poetry doesn't have to be something that is complicated or invites, a shift in philosophy or makes a reader dumbfounded. Sometimes it's just writing down exactly what you see. She says, what I've discovered is that it isn't so easy to put poetry on hold. It bubbles up whether I'm making time for it or not. I'm so grateful for this. It's such a terrific feeling to know that poetry will find a way through the din, which is a message right to me for the holidays. Poetry will find a way through the din. And the poem we're going to be looking at today is called Listen. Can I invite someone to read this out loud? Yes, Kim, thank you so much. You can go.
Okay. To make sure I can see it, I'm making it bigger. Listen, the sharp-shinned hawk's ragged voice etches a pattern here from ice true north. The sound of fork against frying pan, of crumpled, burning paper. Even the sky is worn out on the last night of November. A mute wind, and this light turns the sycamore wrought iron. Delicate tracery, Art Nouveau under streetlight, neck bowed, slightly to the left of its shadow. The skies vague, then vanish suddenly dark. In one house, the radio spills a traffic report. In another, television has turned the long room into a blue shell filled with underwater light.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Now I'm going to invite another reader. And this time I want everyone else who's not reading just to close their eyes and notice how this poem makes you feel, how this invites you to inhabit a mood. Who would like to read next?
I could do it.
Thank you, Kyler.
I don't mind. Julia, I'll do it.
Actually,
Oh, Kyler, you do it.
you know what? I think it'd be kind of fun to do both. Kyler, do you want to take the first couplet and then Catherine can take the second one and then you guys just alternate? So Kyler's first, Catherine's second, then the pattern continues. You want to try that out?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Of course. Lovely.
Listen, the sharp-shinned hawk's ragged voice etches a pattern here from ice true north.
The sound of fork against frying pan, of crumpled burning paper.
Even the sky is worn out on the last night of November.
A mute wind, and this light turns the sycamore wrought iron.
Delicate tracery, Art Nouveau under streetlight, neck bowed.
Slightly to the left of its shadow, the sky's vague, then vanished, suddenly dark.
In one house, the radio spills a traffic report. In another,
Television has turned the long room into a blue shell filled with underwater light.
do we think that it's neck bowed or neck bowed?
Ooh, I don't know.
Curious how people read that in their heads.
I don't know. That's a great question.
Oh, it's really interesting. Yeah.
That's actually, let's put a pin in that. I want to talk about that in a second because that really points to something that I think is very interesting about how this poem toggles between natural and human worlds. But let's put a pin in it for just a second. First, I just want to talk to you guys, first of all, about the wild difference in those two readings. One, hearing it read with one voice versus hearing it read with two voices. How did that change the experience for you guys?
Actually, it was like a duet, like a duet, like a song almost, like a, you know.
Totally.
Mm.
I liked when the sentence didn't end
Mhm.
perfectly at the second line in each couplet, and sometimes it was like we were finishing each other's sentences. It was more like a conversation that is, like kind of emotionally intimate.
Mhm.
That's really nice, Kyler. Yeah, I felt that too.
It's a great word, intimate. There's something, just regardless, one speaker or two, there's something very intimate about this poem. And I could kind of imagine when it was just Kim reading, one person walking down the street, noticing things in their neighborhood. And the second one, I very clearly saw two people silently walking together, so intimate that they didn't really need a lot of conversation, both of them just noticing. Um, Interesting that it could be the same poem in that way. So, so what mood does this poem inspire in you as you listen to it or as you read it?
A bit of sadness,
Mm.
maybe languishing.
Ooh, languishing. I love that word so much. Where do you see languishing, or where do you hear or feel languishing in the poem?
Um, just when it says even the sky is worn out on the last night of November, kind of like it's a very sad moment, for that. And then let's see slightly to the left of its shadow, the sky's vague, then vanished, suddenly dark. It's almost like it was so sad that it couldn't continue on. It's like, you know,
So sad it couldn't continue on. Wow. Did anybody read it differently? Did anyone get a different mood?
I felt they were really curious, and observant.
Mhm.
I love that the last couplet of just the television describing it, almost like a swimming pool or something. Do you know what I mean? The blue light of the television. I thought that was beautiful, filled with underwater light. It kind of just, I had this picture of a kind of just a beautiful blue, ice blue swimming pool or something.
How interesting that for Catherine, it ends in this image of beauty, but it could also be an image of this languishing feeling that Kim is talking about. Somehow both are held in the same image, beauty and languishing. Uh,
Mm.
Kyler, to call you out, what's the mood that you're getting from this?
I think it's complicated because when we first read it, I felt more of like the sad feeling. And then the second time when Catherine and I read, um, certain words jumped out at me more, like the first word or the first line being listen. Clearly it is it's some sort of conversation. They're talking to somebody. They're saying like, listen. And there's this post actually that has been going around recently on Twitter. Sorry, I'm like very online. But there's um, this post that I found really poignant recently, and it just talks about how um, love makes you want to experience things and like show things to people, even mundane things, because
Mm.
you're just excited to get their perspective. They've worded it way more beautifully than me, but um, the like affection comes when you want to share your experience of the world with someone, and like you want their experience too. Um, so then it kind of made me feel that there are two people observing, or like one person, the speaker, wants to share what they're seeing.
Beautifully said.
Mm.
And how interesting too that that epiphany it lands in you as you and Catherine are reading it together. That duet that Kim was talking about kind of brings that idea home for you that there's another interlocutor here. There's another person in this conversation. And
I
Mhm.
think it's very, oh, sorry, Julia. I was going to say, I think there's so much life in it.
Mhm.
They're observing this kind of fork against frying pan, paper, they're observing everything. I think I don't really get a sadness, I have to say.
Mm.
I think for me, it's a sadness of a season is ending, a new one's beginning,
Yes.
uh, kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, and that's why I use languishing, because sometimes we can languish, we can be kind of stuck in between both the past and the present and the future. This is
Mm.
what's going on in the present, but it feels like you're teetering on the fence. Like you're sad about this ending, but yet you're excited about something new. You see something beautiful in the mundane and the everyday of what she's witnessing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely get a feeling of nostalgia
Exactly.
Yeah, nostalgia is a good word.
because part of me was like, who listens to the radio in their house anymore? Like, I don't know anyone who listens to the radio anymore. And the TV like
Mm.
being on,
I
that
definitely
just goes
agree
deep.
with the beauty in the ordinary.
Mm. Mhm.
I confess, I'd rather listen to the radio on and then watch TV.
Yeah, like I haven't had TV in years. I just pay for streaming services because cable is too expensive. So I just thought it was like it kind of transported me back to a time where you would be walking around like the neighborhood that I grew up in, and you would see the like blue light of the TVs from the windows.
Yeah, kind of like my dad sitting in the dark watching his favorite show when I'm supposed to be in bed and I walk by
Yeah.
the, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
you walk by the doorway and you see the light from the TV. You
Hmm.
can't see the TV, but you can see the light from it.
Hmm.
Ooh, that's an interesting detail to pick out. You can't see the TV, you can only see the light from it. And I'm really loving these things that you're pointing out here, Kim, this teetering on a fence feeling, in between past and present and future. It's all liminal space. And I feel that too in the poem, this liminal space. I feel it just in the speaker's own position in the poem. It's kind of liminal. Like we don't actually, there's no self-reference, there's just observation. But where is this speaker? They're kind of like on the outside of things, looking in, in this weirdly liminal fence-like space. What else can you guys tell about the speaker just from the observations that they make?
It's probably empathic
Mm, yeah.
because she senses things on a deeper level. And it's like her awareness comes without much struggle. Her awareness comes to the forefront or to the surface. And she tends to notice what other people may not
Mm,
notice or may just take advantage of.
great. She notices what other people don't. I mean, how many people take their dogs for a walk, every evening and might not actually see anything that this person has just seen. Yeah. What?
For me
Mm,
too. Oh, um, just physically, I feel like there's a really distinct break in like the first wait, okay, one, two, three, four, five, six. Um, After the sky is vague and then vanishes and then it's suddenly dark, everything is softer. I look at the word choice before that, and there's like words like sharp, ragged, it etches a pattern. It's like it's sharp, it's very, and then the fork against the front. Like I don't know about anybody else, but that sound of like silverware against plates and stuff is like the worst for me. It's like
Yeah.
physically painful. Like I hate it. And then the crumpled paper, and then the wind turning the tree to iron, the tracery, like that's very precise and sort of like pencil tip. And then all of a sudden, in those last few couplets, it's like things are spilling more so than they're like cutting, or there's like not like a point on things. It's very um like the blue shell being
mhm.
filled with underwater light. Like it's very soft and very fluid instead of that like sharpness of the first like 75%, I would say.
And you think the toggle is that line, the sky's vague, then vanished, then suddenly dark, and then everything after that kind of becomes this watercolor world of spillage. But that's the toggle, that line?
Maybe it's even a little bit earlier than that because I'm just looking at the tracery. I think it stops there because Art Nouveau, I think, isn't that like more of a flourishy sort of art style? Um, I have to look that up,
Yeah,
but
I know.
the neck of the neck being bowed like on a curve, I think after that it's for me like where it changes somewhere in
Mm.
there.
Maybe
Softer.
slightly to the left of its shadow, like somehow we get out of this shadow world and we're slightly beside it, and now in this kind of
Mm.
you've surfed over here and now everything is kind of spilling. What it why do you think the speaker signals a shift at that place of either being beside itself or being suddenly dark?
That's really interesting because I Google everything when I
Ah, do
read
it.
poetry, and it says it's a decorative style flourishing 1890s to 1910, characterized by organic flowing lines, natural forms, and elegant asymmetry. That's beautiful.
Elegant
Mm.
asymmetry. Yeah. I'm actually,
Uh,
you know what? I want to start back a little bit further back. I want to start at the beginning and then make our way to that point. And then when we return to it, I think we might have some fresh ideas about why this shift is happening. So, the very first image here is the sharp-shinned hawk's ragged voice. Etches a pattern here from ice true north. Let's just talk about that couplet first. What do you guys feel in this couplet?
I think it's something, well, definitely with the word ice, I'm thinking it's a cold,
Mhm.
ragged voice, like it the voice of the hawk represents the coldness and the changing of the season, something very cold, dormant, and possibly melancholy.
Yeah, okay. Cold, dormant, melancholy. What else? What else do you guys get from that first couplet? How does it land? Yeah.
Mm. It's sharp and kind of jagged and cold. It seems like there's almost, and the hawk is a predator, a bird of prey, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's slightly ominous or something,
Yeah.
opening.
Totally. Yeah, and I get a real sense of like wildness too
And
from that
yeah.
from that bird of prey and the ice true north, something that's totally alien to this human world that we inhabit that is somehow come is now coming into our human world. Something
Mhm.
totally wild. Um, which reminds me of the way moods do that too. Like this wild thing kind of comes,
Yeah.
blows in from out of nowhere and it feels like a force. Um, Something's bigger than ourselves. But then
It's
it,
funny now that I'm looking at it. It's almost like it's dipping in and out, like the next couplet is kind of
oh yeah,
very very human, isn't it?
yeah,
It's almost like you've got, and then the next one is back to the very kind of dramatic nature.
oh,
So it's almost like a sick cycle or something, or it's dipping in and out and kind of interesting.
yeah, from the wild to the human, to the wild to the human. Yeah. And these domestic sounds, the frying pan, the crumpling paper, that, this
Mm,
this wild animal sound suddenly morphs into these familiar kind of the sounds that you might hear upon waking up. To go back to that nostalgia, I'm thinking of, waking up on a winter Sunday and hearing mom in the kitchen, the fork against the frying pan, these kind of ambient sounds of home.
mm,
Um, but then you zoom back out to the sky being so worn out, and the mute wind.
mm.
But then the sycamore turns into wrought iron, this human pattern. Again, it's kind of everything goes from this wild,
Yeah.
clear landscape to these human comparisons. Why do you think the speaker is doing this?
I mean, maybe making a connection, kind of bringing us together, or yeah. I'm just thinking also, the Art Nouveau and the wrought iron. I mean, that's kind of I think Art Nouveau used a lot of kind of it did, like, to me, Art Nouveau, it used a lot of iron, and it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a gorgeous image, I have to say. The sycamore wrought iron, delicate Tracy Art Nouveau under streetlight. I think that's so beautiful. When I think of Art Nouveau, I think of Great Gatsby.
Yes, totally. Oh,
That's Art Nouveau.
now you've got me really tuning into all the doubling going on here. The doubling of the hawk's ragged voice with the frying pan and the burning paper, the doubling of the worn out sky and the mute wind and the sycamore turning into wrought iron and Art Nouveau under streetlight, how everything is kind of seen beside itself, slightly to the left of its shadow, even, everything can be seen in this one way, but then this other way keeps kind of creeping in. And I just think that's
Mm,
a doubling happening here, how you kind of
mm,
like you're a little outside of yourself looking in. Um, and I'm thinking too about how this narrator might not have a choice except to bring these things home to their lived experience of the world, because what else do we don't have ice true north in our vocabulary of emotions. What we have is frying pan and crumpling paper, like this, like there's this kind of, I don't know, um, inevitability of the human re-entering the comparison, the equation. I don't know.
mm. Well, I mean, I don't know what ice true north means.
I don't know either.
Is I kind of imagine I'm up here right in the north of Ireland and the wind is howling. So when I think of an ice true north, I think of a northwesterly wind, but I don't know whether that's what they mean.
I'm imagining like the North Pole, you know, like
Yeah,
as north as
probably.
possible to get, this place that is somehow like, the ideal of North, North capital N, that
Yeah.
this listening or this feeling might be coming from. I don't know.
Mm,
So then after we've gone through all of this kind of toggling back and forth between wild space and domestic space and all the doubling of, these things as they exist in, out in nature versus how they're pulled back into this human world, then we get to that toggling point that Kyler is noticing where everything suddenly becomes not doubled, but somehow shifting like watercolor, kind of one thing, um,
mm.
spilling rather than jumping back and forth. In one house, oh, sorry, the sky's vague, then vanished, suddenly dark. In one house, radio spills a traffic report. In another, television has turned the long room into a blue shell filled with underwater light. What feeling do these stanzas leave you with?
To stay true to yourself,
Ooh, tell me more.
because true north isn't just a physical thing, it can be a spiritual thing.
Mhm.
I mean, my
Mm.
true north is to be, what did I just say? I'm doing a brain freeze. Being true to myself
Mhm.
and who I am and not try to fit in or anything else, and accepting everyone else in their true north and being able to see that and that can mean being rigid. It could mean being too rigid in the way that you see yourself or you see others. At the same time, it could mean I'm staying true to myself. That bird up there, he's in his natural habitat. I'm in my natural habitat, you know.
Mm.
I'm another wild animal here.
I love that definition of the true north, Kim.
I think the doubling also kind of extends to the last two couplets because we have two houses. And one, there's a lot of sound coming out of it, and it's this very, like, it's a traffic report. It's this very mundane, very
Hmm.
concrete thing. And then the other house, we don't really get, like, I don't really get a sense of that there's sound in it. It's just sort of this very quiet, very fluid, very peaceful thing. Like you're underwater, so like sound doesn't travel the same.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But there's still kind of waves, like radio waves, maybe, and kind of watery. Anything that's kind of watery and fluid, I love.
especially to talk about doubling, I see this more clearly because now it's dark. I'm
Yeah.
imagining, not pitch black, but night enough, dark enough that when I pass by this house and I look in at their window, I just see blue light, bright blue light, kind of shifting in color and texture, but bouncing off of these walls. And it's like this, I don't know, I feel like a little promise of other lives kind of going on, inside this place, that somehow, I don't know, makes me feel there's a
Mm,
coziness to that as I'm imagining myself as an observer looking outside from the outside in at that it just feels good and right to see these other lives kind of, in their underwater blueness,
mm,
no, I feel what I leave this poem with a feeling of mild disconnection from that, but in a really pleasant way because I'm able to witness it from the outside. Kind of like watching,
mm,
you know, um, a kid open Christmas presents from a distance. Like, there's something just
mm.
really beautiful about being on the outside of this feeling of home.
Yeah, you don't feel any sense of kind of envy or
Yeah.
regret or loneliness particularly. I don't get that feeling.
Yeah.
I feel, as you say, a connection in a strange sort of way, in a disconnected sort of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
A connection to like a shared humanity as opposed to specifically linking in with other people. Just the domesticity of it and the humanity of it, I think.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And I,
And the banality of it. It's pretty, it's ordinary,
yeah.
but very beautiful.
That actually brings me right back to the title, as Kyler pointed out, that there's a kind of, I don't know, it's not a call to shared humanity as in like, come on, come in the house and let's watch TV together, call to shared. There's a call here though. There is a call at the beginning, the listen, you know? Oh, did we lose Catherine? I think we did. Oh, darn, hopefully she'll be back. Oh, there she is. She's back. Good. Um, Yeah, there's something about that title that is a call to this witness, to be a witness to the natural world, to the human world, but to take note, to pay attention. And there's some sort of a connection that happens in that remove, that ability to step back and witness.
Mm.
Some new kind of connection that happens there. It's hard to put words around, but clearly Wegener can.
Well, the way you've described it just there is perfect, I think. You know?
Yeah. It, any other thoughts on why this is called Listen and who the speaker might be speaking to?
Well, with the true north, maybe she's speaking to herself and
Mm,
her instincts and her senses and what she believes in.
hmm. I like that.
I think she's speaking to all of us.
Yeah, maybe right off.
Anyone who listen.
You think of a lighthouse, her true north in the dark. What is it?
Mm,
She's it's like she's out taking a walk, is what I'm gathering, and she sees everything, the sun going down and it gets dark and everything at a certain time, but yet people have their everyday lives still going on, routines going on and everything. And yet maybe she's like if you were on a ship and you're out in the middle of a dark sea and you're trying to find direction and where to head to go to dry land and get out of that situation, or to at least feel like I have a goal. my goal is to be right there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, now I'm starting to think about all of this as a kind of spinning, like a not a spinning compass, but a compass that's slowly finding its direction. You know, we start with this thing coming in from ice true north, and then we kind of attention starts to meander across this landscape, and it's I feel place is so important to this. This is not just any place. This is a it's almost like getting a latitude and longitude for a feeling, you know. This place is so intimately connected to the mood. It's
You might be too young to remember this, I don't know, but when I was a little girl, I remember everybody had those little round compass things on their dashboards that will tell you, oh, I'm going north, northeast, or south, or west, or whatever. And I would just be fascinated and sit and watch that while whoever was driving, if that was when we didn't have seatbelts and we could drive and we could ride in the front seat without being in a car seat. But yeah, so I was always fascinated by, okay, I need to know is this, and then in fourth grade, I remember my teacher putting signs up north, south, east, west, like she was trying to make a point of which direction do we want to go or which direction are we heading kind of thing. I don't know. I was always, oh, we're going northeast right now, you know.
yeah. And yet despite that kind of the true north from the that inaugurates the poem, by the end, I kind of maybe Kyler's toggle is right. Like as soon as the sky shifts to dark, I even don't get the sense of a walk anymore. I just get kind of pure observation, like pure right here-ness, you know. Um, there's so much spillage in the dark that it almost doesn't even matter anymore. I don't know. Or maybe the light changes things so much that what once felt like a particular familiar thing, you know, this particular sycamore becomes a kind of wrought iron. This house that you recognize you no longer see, it just becomes a radio spilling over, you know, in the dark now, you know, what was once a window is now a kind of what did you call it, Catherine? A
Swimming pool.
a swimming pool underwater, and how everything kind of shifts. The focal point is no longer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see the ice. I think I see the ice true north as a kind of counterpoint to all of these things, rather than being the thing that it's seeking. You know, like this this idea of an ice true north kind of swoops in, but this speaker is not doesn't seem to be finding that kind of wilderness. You know, they seem to be really honing in on these moments of domestic finding and
Yeah.
seeing in a new way, re-seeing, you know, that maybe that is their true north. I don't know, but seems to
Yeah. And
We can,
I really feel that strongly. And someone mentioned the word nostalgic, and it really is, especially the last part, because I drove up from Dublin yesterday, and at 4:30 in the afternoon, it was pitch dark here.
yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And then this morning, the radio was on, and I'm talking about the radio. I don't listen to it very much sometimes when I'm driving, but it was lovely to listen to. My dad obviously had it on, and actually, while it was on, I recognized the voice of the that was being interviewed on a show, and it was a friend of mine who's on a board with me, and she's a filmmaker, and she was talking about her film. So it was really interesting. And then the television, that's such a kind of feeling from my childhood, looking into people's, and even now when we're in the car, and even when I'm driving and I shouldn't, I'm looking into all the windows in the dark nights when I'm driving past. So it's a really warm kind of nostalgic memory for me.
Absolutely. There has to be the
And
name.
and actually, Gillian,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was going to say I'm going to have to go in a minute
Oh,
because I've got to
no.
go and make the dinner.
Well, darn, you know what? I'll email you the writing prompt because I
Oh,
think
I
it
was
might be good.
going to ask you that. Would you mind? And
Yeah.
what I might do is Anna and myself might do it, and then we'll send our answers in to you.
I would love that so much. And I think this would be
Oh,
an
yeah.
especially good prompt for you in this place where you are right now with your mom around the
Okay,
holidays.
well, do you know
So
something? If you email it to
will.
me after this, I will do it before I leave here.
I will. That sounds great. That sounds great.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm so sorry to miss you, but I'm so glad I clicked in because I sent you an email to say I wouldn't be able to because it was kind of really busy here. And then I thought, you know something? I'm going to just register and say hello.
I'm so glad that
And look at me. I'm
you
so happy
Yeah.
to see you, Julia,
holiday.
always. And
Yes.
Kyler and Kim, I really wish you very happy holidays. And
Thank
Kyler,
you. You
I
too.
think, and I
I wish
really
I
hope
could get over there
you've,
with you, but I bet
yeah,
Christmas is fun.
yeah, thank you so much, guys. And look, I look forward to seeing you all in the new year,
That's
Julia. Will
great.
Yes.
you still have the workshops?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sending so much love to everybody, and I'll be in touch, and I'll definitely do that prompt, Julia.
Okay. Sounds good, Catherine. I'll see you soon.
Bye. It was great to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, everybody. Sorry to have to leave.
You're fine. Give on your
Bye.
head for us.
See you, Kyler. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
So, I could say 1,000 other things about this, but I know we should probably move into some writing. Are there any last thoughts on Listen, the poem, and who this speaker is, what mood they're bringing us? Any last observations here?
Yeah, when I get to thinking about the true north, but then the other things that she's focusing on, it's like, yes, we can focus in on one thing, but are we missing
Mm.
other things around us
Yeah.
by staying on that one thing?
That's such a great point. I really do see that because so much of this poem is outside of self. It's like I don't even see the speaker here other than through what they're noticing. Like I actually feel like I learn a lot about the speaker through what they're noticing, but their object of focus is not self. It seems all of these things out in their world, and through those things they're revealing themselves, And I just think that's such an interesting concept. Uh, there's a better name for this that I've lost, but the terrible name for this is called the pathetic fallacy. Are you guys familiar with the pathetic fallacy? It makes it sound like it's a bad thing. Um, but there's this concept in literature um, that the uh, you can reveal how you're feeling by describing the world in particular ways. So if I'm walking through woods and I say these woods are they've been denuded, they're bare, they're shivering in the cold, it tells you a little bit about how I might feel walking through these woods versus someone
Mm.
else might feel might describe these trees, as these like stalwart warriors, they're withstanding the winter. That might tell you something about how they're feeling. And in this theory of the pathetic fallacy, there is no real you cannot describe the world in any unbiased way. You can't, because always
Mm.
through our attention, we are revealing ourselves and our relationship to the thing that we're experiencing. Um, so there's something very interesting about a poem, I think, that makes no effort to reveal the self and only looks outward, and yet through that outward look reveals so much of who they are. Um, that was that was
Mm.
my big attraction to this, is to try to, as a writer especially, to give up the agenda of trying to tell about myself, especially in memoir, because that's where I'm living right now too, Kim, and just allow my observations to do that work for me. Anyway,
Mm.
anything you guys, any little nuggets of wisdom you guys are taking home from this poem before we shift into some writing?
I feel like that, and then a lot of what we just talked about for the past 10 minutes really resonated because I was thinking too, like, I don't know if I was overanalyzing, but the word being from, like, etches a pattern here from Ice True North. I kind of viewed the Ice True North as maybe like the objective or like the capital T truth, and it's not pointing toward it. Like we're not being pointed toward it. The speaker is not saying like this is what I'm trying to find. This is what's pointing here, and I'm going to follow it. It's like this is coming from that. There's a path, but it's in the opposite direction. And like, what does that mean?
I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. Keep going, Kim. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was just saying yes.
Mm.
Said.
And to keep going with that idea, Kyler, that this thing coming from this ice true north, this sharp-shinned hawk's ragged voice, what happens to that voice? It goes through these transformations of comparison, kind of percolating through the speaker's own lived experiences, kind of shifting and simmering through these their own lived associations, and then into this outer world of others that it is just as alien as Ice True North, but is slow. There's this process of moving between wild and domestic and wild and domestic that feels like a slow filtering right into this very personal space. And that personal space is not the room with the underwater light. It's this liminal space outside of that that is watching it.
Mm. Hmm.
And that's just so cool that that's the space that I'm left in, is kind of in the dark, looking in and feeling somehow at home.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
yeah, me too. Thank you for bringing us there, Kyler. So let's shift this into some of our own writing. Um, I am gonna give you guys a prompt, but first pull out a piece of paper or, a page on your computer. Um, and before I give you the prompt, I'm gonna give you a part one. You can, if you have a window, you can look outside your window, or you can just look inside the room that you're in. Something outside of yourself that you can see. Choose one point of focus in the room around you. It could be a sound, a color, an object, a shadow, a quality of light. Take a moment to find the thing, and I want you to just sit with it for a few moments and try to inhabit its space, its perspective. Study it. Both of you guys have your thing? You ready for part two? Okay.
Yes.
Describe it, then follow wherever it leads. I'm going to put myself on silent and set the timer for 5 minutes. Just a couple more seconds. Try to wrap up your last thought if you can. All right, friends. Wherever you are, go ahead and put your pens down if you haven't already. Um, we have such a beautifully small group right now. I think maybe we can all share and give feedback together. Um, how are we feeling after writing? Before we go into any sharing, how are you feeling right now? What's the mood right now?
I just love coming to these because even when I've had a really hard time, whenever I write, I'm just like, oh, the world is so beautiful, even though things are so painful all the time. It really helps.
Yeah, that speaks to me. Talk about True North. That
Mhm.
really speaks to me, Kyler. Absolutely. There's something about attention that brings me home.
Yeah.
Who wants to read first?
I'll go first, unless you want to go first,
Yeah,
Kim.
yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to copy and paste it or like share my screen or anything, or just read?
You can just read. I'll have you read
Okay.
it twice. But yeah, just read.
Okay. So I don't have a title or anything. I never feared wildfire before I moved west. I also never loved it as much. The vents and the high ceilings of my own private pine box don't have the same snapping sound of long stretches of peace. There's a house a few blocks from here whose Tudor roof has a brick chimney. Smoke curls skyward, and the scent of blackened, fibrous flesh is only in my mind. All those times I sat by a few logs, hoping they were enough to stoke my last remaining self preservations. In my small world, there is a box within a box, ashes of the people and creatures I've loved. I run my fingers over the smooth grain and see flowers where there are none. One day the fire will go out for everyone. I don't want to go to sleep in a box. I'd rather burn.
Wow.
Oh, Kyler. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you read that one more time?
Mhm.
A little bit more slowly.
Okay. I never feared wildfire before I moved west. I also never loved it as much. The vents in the high ceilings of my own private pine box don't have the same snapping sound of long stretches of peace. There's a house a few blocks from here whose Tudor roof has a brick chimney. Smoke curls skyward, and the scent of blackened, fibrous flesh is only in my mind. All those times I sat by a few logs, hoping they were enough to stoke my last remaining self preservations. In my small world, there is a box within a box, ashes of the people and creatures I've loved. I run my fingers over the smooth grain and see flowers where there are none. One day the fire will go out for everyone. I don't want to sleep. I don't want to go to sleep in a box. I'd rather burn.
I mean, 5 minutes? Really? All right, I'll let you go first, Kim, if you'd like.
Where
Collecting
I
myself.
was focusing on the wildfires, dangerous yet something that draws you in, and you seem to envelop its warmth and its light. And you seem to, I mean, you were talking about the pine box is like And then you said, I'd rather burn. And I was like, you know, I think, we get buried, we have tombstones, but after a while, no one comes to visit that. But your
Mm,
memories never die. And you're just like you're saying, the memory of me will never die, and those who were my loved ones and those who are still left behind or something like that. But I mean, the fires really got me when you said wildfire. I was like, a wildfire is kind of out of control,
hmm
and yet you don't fear it and you love it more than you ever thought you would. And you accept the wildfire. It may not be what you want at the time, but at the same time, you've learned to accept it, is what I'm hearing.
mm.
I mean, there's just so much here to talk about. I mean, we could do our own workshop on this alone. You know, like him, I'm obsessed with this idea of wildfire and how it shifts in the poem. I'm going to call it a poem. Um, it starts out as something that is simultaneously feared and desired. Um, Something that was never quite known at one point in life. And then as the speaker gets closer to it out west, where wildfires are, there's a fear of it, but also a love of it. The descriptions of the snapping sounds and the smoke going skyward from the Tudor roof of the house next door. These are kind of cozy feelings. And yet there's danger lurking in them, the scent of the flesh that's only in your mind. So there's danger lurking underneath this feeling of the speaker acknowledges that fire can be both self-preservation and damnation. And there's both are existing in the same image. And then God, that last, I'm going to consider it a stanza. There's a tone shift toward the end. In my small world, there is a box within a box. And in this box are the ashes of the people and creatures I've loved. All these memories, all of these relationships that are now just ashes in a box. I'm sitting here looking at my dog's ashes in a box right here. Like I've got those too. I carry them too. And how we carry them with us, literal luggage, of these people that we hold dear, literal and metaphorical luggage of the people we've once held dear. And I love that the speaker runs their fingers over the smooth grain and sees flowers where there are none, sees beauty where maybe there wasn't actually beauty, but is insisting on feeling the beauty of these relationships. And then that final image, everyone, one day, one day the fire will come for everybody. And yet that is welcomed by the speaker. The the fire, I don't want to go, if my choice is to go into sleep in a box, I'm going to take fire every time. You know, I see fire as this kind of fierce love, this love that can consume you at the same time that it can destroy you. And come, fire, come. Like I love that so much.
Rather experience the fire and not just not experience anything at all.
Mhm. Right.
And the box within a box made me think about we put ourselves in a box
Mhm.
hmm
sometimes, you know.
Totally. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that you mentioned your dog's ashes, Julia, because a couple weeks ago I had to put my chinchilla to sleep. I had him for 11 years, and it was just so painful. It was like one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. But like, he's not sick anymore, and that's important. But it's just, yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially hard, I think, right now to, around the holidays,
hmm
these touchstones of people, these anchors, people in relationships and pets and beings, so hard to spend a holiday without them. I totally understand that.
Hmm.
And I feel that kind of mm, the threat of loss hovering around this poem. The knowledge, not threat of loss, the inevitability of loss surrounding this poem. And yet I feel the speaker leaning in anyway. And yeah, there's a strength and a beauty there that is so admirable, done so deftly through all of these just intricate little symbols and metaphors. Beautiful, beautiful. Any last
Thank
thoughts
you.
on Tyler's gorgeous work? Kim, would you like to read next?
Okay. Sunshine filtering through the open blinds and bringing a lighter hue of the soft white walls of my bedroom. Shadows form on the other side of the television as if to say, the darkness lingers here just behind what I cannot see. Snow glistening brightly below just outside the window tends to intensify the brightness coming through the open blinds. Compared to the lamp on my bedside table, the engulfing presence of the sun outshines the low glimmer of a small lamp only meant for the night when the shadows turn into a grim, black fogginess of night.
Great. All right, can you read it one more time? This time slow down a little bit more. Thanks.
Okay. Sunshine filtering through the open blinds and bringing a lighter hue of the soft white walls of my bedroom. Shadows form on the other side of the television as if to say, the darkness lingers here just behind what I cannot see. Snow glistening brightly below just outside the window tends to intensify the brightness coming through the open blinds. Compared to the lamp on my bedside table, the engulfing presence of the sun outshines the low glimmer of a small lamp only meant for the night when the shadows turn into a grim, black fogginess of night.
Gorgeous. There's so much here that is strikes me as similar to the Wegener piece, and but done in this deliciously new way. I'm jumping in though. Kyler, do you want to jump in first?
Yeah, that was my thought too. There's a lot of similarities kind of in the tone shift too as well. Like I definitely noticed the first part of the poem, or like the majority of the first few lines or standard stanzas, or however this is organized. I liked the contrast between the soft white walls of the bedroom. It's like a very sort of calm, familiar space. But even that familiar space has these shadows that are kind of like lurking around corners and things, and like you may not be able to see them directly. They're not always obvious, but they tend to appear kind of in your peripheral vision. And it just made me think of, somebody, well, myself really, because I only really have myself as a reference point, but going through life, even experiencing periods of like, oh, I'm okay, everything's fine, but it's like there is still these sort of like fuzzy, foggy edges of like things that are always going to be with you. And I really liked that description of the shadows, where it's like a fog, but it's kind of behind, but it hides itself, almost like sentiently.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, so much light and shadow play here. I can see the scene as vividly as I could see the Wegener walk without moving at all. All that's moving here is time. It's just, sun and shadow, day and night. And I get that same sense of doubling, that behind everything this speaker sees is something else, just to the left of its shadow, or maybe quite literally its shadow. Um, And the mood is doubled here too. There's that feeling of, as Kyler was saying, that feeling of, I'm okay. This is a sunshiny day. It's sparkly bright. There's snow repeating the sun in every direction outside, and it's so bright. It's engulfing. And yet there's something underneath that, something lurking. And I do get a feeling of lurking. It's not just like it's not just like, darkness as a welcome reprieve to the light. It's, I don't know. There's something ominous in this darkness, I think. And I think it really comes out for me in that last line, um, that the lamp on the bedside table, it's meant for the night when the shadows turn into a grim, black fogginess of night. When that 3 a.m. feeling, when you wake up and it's the same room that you know and love, and it's familiar and it's yours and it's home, and yet you're alien inside of it, and there's a grimness to the world. Um, that same world doubled here in the single poem. I love the line too, shadows from on the other side of the TV, as if to say the darkness lingers here just behind what I cannot see. There's it's almost like I hear like a shadow of mortality, a little memento mori in this, that even in these sunshiny days, there's a kind of feeling of nightfall imminent, and yet it doesn't. For me, I see them both kind of interchangeable. I don't feel the shadows overtaking the light or the light overtaking the dark. I feel them kind of held both in the same space. Really, really beautiful work. Thank you.
You know, I hadn't written any poetry in a very long time. And just this year, I've started getting back into it because when I was growing up, that's how I dealt with things, was writing it in poems and doing, I had a diary or whatever, but poems was the way that I was able to connect what I was feeling without anyone else really knowing what I was talking about. So I'm glad that I'm able to do that again.
Me too. Me too. You clearly have a skill for it.
And I finished writing this. I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, I can't believe I wrote this.
Mm.
It's amazing. Not that I'm bragging on myself, although
No,
can I
I
brag on
understand.
myself for a moment?
You
Much,
absolutely can. And it's relatable.
Yeah.
much earned. Yeah, I hope you do continue with your poetry, especially now it sounds like your memoir project is kind of rounding out. I find that there's a lot of, for me, like the two require each other, like the more poetry I write, the more memoir comes effortlessly, and vice versa. Like somehow they feed off of each other. So I hope you feel that too, and you can kind of toggle is the word of the day, I guess. Toggle between the two. Wonderful, wonderful work, you guys. So there is I know we're coming close to the end here. I'm going to give you guys a little homework assignment. Um, have I lost my slides? Let's see if I can find them again. Ah, so today, homework, take a walk late afternoon or early evening in that kind of cusping place, cusping time. Try to see your neighborhood as a new place you're just discovering. Your assignment is to simply look, listen, smell, feel, and when you get home, write down what you noticed. Kim, this may be the first poem in your new book of poems that you're going to be starting on now that you've rediscovered poetry. But
Well, since it's below zero outside, I live in an apartment building, mainly low-income housing for seniors. So I get a kick out of walking down the hall, going on the elevator, going downstairs, seeing who's in the community area, listening to them, eavesdropping on their conversations.
That's perfect. That's the walk that you take. And that's the walk I want to read about. If you guys, if you guys happen to do this and you want to share it, I'd love to read what you're writing. So feel free to send it on in. And if you want me to, let me know and I'll share it with our group too. So thank you both. I hope you guys both have a wonderful holiday season. Yeah, I know this is a what precarious and precious time of year. I think that was Catherine coined that. So I wish you a lot as much joy as you can hold right now.
Oh, you too,
You
Julia.
too.
Yeah, it was
Enjoy
lovely to
your
see you both.
family.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Tyler,
much.
I'll be thinking about you.
Same.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
All right, bye, friends.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.